Thank you. Thank you. It's a great pleasure for me to be here and kind of update you what's going on with me and what I'm doing right now. As my name got associated with the word microcredit, so everybody looks at me as a microcredit guy. Lends little money to the poor women, so that's true. But sometimes when I'm introduced, like you did, as a banker to the poor, which is again a common way to describe me, banker to the poor, I usually raise the question, and that gives me a kind of a entry to my topic. I said, if there was another banker speaking on the same occasion, how would you introduce him or her? A famous banker, very successful banker, or path-breaking banker, whatever. I said, the question I will raise at that time, I said, if you call him a banker and you call me banker to the poor, that will not be, that will be unjust. Because if you call me banker to the poor, the legitimate way to describe him or her will be banker to the rich. So that's where we depart. That's where our work comes in. Banking somehow leaves out a major part of the human population on this planet. And we still call them bank instead of bank for the rich. I got into it not because I was raising any theoretical question about it. It's because of the terrible circumstances where I find myself in the middle of 70s, where I was teaching in Bangladesh, teaching economics. Country was going through a terrible famine, and I felt guilty that I teach a subject which has no value, no use for the people. And if my subject has any validity, I would have found a way how to protect people from the famine and dying out of hunger. So that led me to see if I can, as a human being, not as a teacher of economics or anything, as a human being, if I could be of some help to somebody in the village next door to the university campus. Even if I can make myself useful to one individual person a day in that village, I would see that I have some use in me. I'm not that useless completely. So that's a use I was trying to discover in myself that pushed me into the village, and I learned a lot of things. I did a lot of tiny things in that village. And then I got shocked by the frequent incidents of loan sharking stories and people who are victimized by the loan sharks, giving tiny loans to poor people, exploiting them to get everything out of them by just lending tiny money. And I felt terrible seeing it at a very close range. It's not from a distance. You're not reading a book. You're seeing it in everyday way. You see the victim. You see the person who victimized the other person, all in the same village. While I was fuming about this, that I'm so insignificant that I have no solution for this, and the world not only is in one village, it's a whole country, it's all over the world, but it's still, I don't have any evidence anybody had done anything about it. So suddenly it occurred to me, I can do something in this village. I cannot do big things, but definitely I can reach out to a few people here. The idea is, why don't I lend the money myself? If I lend the money, then they don't have to go to the loan shark, problem is solved. So instead of doing a big research project out of it, I just went ahead to find the solution in my own way and started lending money out of my own pocket. And the money needed is a very small amount, so it didn't make any difference for me to lend out this money. And it became very popular. Everybody wanted to borrow from me. And I was very happy because it made sense for them. It protected them from the loan sharks. So I was merrily giving the money away, telling them that you can return the money whenever you're ready to do that. But soon I see that my money is running out. Then I wanted to see how to continue this. And one thought came, why don't they go to the bank? That's what they're supposed to do. I'm not the guy who's supposed to lend money to everybody. They're the one who should do that. So when I proposed it to the bank was shocked that even proposed them to lend money to the poor people. They gave 101 reasons why they cannot lend money to the poor people. I said, all I can say, I lend money, they pay me back, I have no problem. But they refused. So after about 8 months of running around at the high level of banking system, everybody rejecting me, I finally offered myself as a guarantor. So that was the beginning of a new chapter. They accepted me after a long negotiation, long fighting about it. I signed the papers and they lent the money with me as a guarantor. And we continued. Later on, I converted into a separate bank, called it Grameen Bank or Village Bank, and continued this, became a nationwide bank. And then the word microcredit is coined to describe what I'm doing. Other countries wanted to copy that, follow that path. And it became a worldwide phenomenon. Along the way, I have learned a lot of things about poor people, what their problem is. And I came to certain conclusions and observations, and I followed that and tried to draw attention, and I was brought to attention of you too at the same time. The conclusion I came to, poverty is not created by the poor people. And I was absolutely convinced about that. It is not something created by the poor. Poverty is created by the institutions that we built. That caused the poverty. In other words, poverty is not generated from inside. It is imposed from outside. Once you accept that, then you have to look outside the poverty, what is happening, which is imposing poverty to the people. And as an example, first instance I gave is a financial institution. I said we created a world where you need money to do anything. And we have a world where money brings money. But we build the financial system, nobody gives the first dollar to catch the next dollar. So that is the beginning of poverty, dependence, at the mercy of other people, because they don't accept their own body, they have nothing else. So either you slave for somebody, or you have to go to the loan shark because the financial system doesn't do anything for you, or you have payday lenders around you, whatever. The system doesn't work for them. And in the beginning, I thought only the poorest people are excluded from that. Then I realized that as experience gathered, it's not just the poorest people. You can draw a line almost in the middle of the total population of the world. You can say the bottom half of the population have nothing to do with the banking system. I said, that's where we went wrong. And we need to fix that. This is just a lending. When I say financial system, it's not just lending. It's everything else. You talk about investments, you talk about insurances, you talk about all kinds of things that the other higher world has the same thing. It didn't happen. One controversy came that the poor people, you have to lend. When it was becoming worldwide, they said you have to choose entrepreneurial poor in order to be successful in microcredit program. That kind of stunned me, shocked me. I didn't realize that you have to do that because I was not looking for entrepreneurial poor. I was simply looking at poor and went ahead and lent money. I have no screening process to find out who is an entrepreneur and not entrepreneur. But that's the way people were describing, oh, no, you have to be looking for entrepreneurial poor. Not everybody among the poor people are entrepreneurs. At the beginning, I was trying to understand whether I'm doing the right thing or they're saying the right thing. Then I took a position. I said, look, I lend money to anybody, any poor person, and I'm focusing on the women. Today, Grameen Bank has 8 million borrowers, 97% of them women, destitute women who joined Grameen Bank. This is how it began. I said, I don't distinguish between entrepreneur and non-entrepreneur because, this is my conclusion again, because I think all human beings are entrepreneurs. I took up a position. I said, irrespective of quality and any other feature of it, the human beings are all entrepreneurs. And so how come not everybody does it? I said, because we created a system, we created a culture, we have pushed that entrepreneurial power way back into her mind or his mind, that he forgot that he's an entrepreneur or she's an entrepreneur. It needs given a chance. If you create a right kind of environment, that entrepreneurial capacity will come out and exemplify it. In order to demonstrate, since it became a controversy, what I did, I started a new program within Grameen Bank to lend money to the beggars. I said, beggars have already proven that they are not entrepreneurs because they have to go and beg. So it's a proven. And also I was trying to find out the generational beggar. Not only she is a beggar, her mother was a beggar. Before that, her grandmother was a beggar, or her grandfather was a beggar, 3-generation beggar. So I take the granddaughter beggar or grandson beggar and ask them, as you go from house to house begging, would you bother to carry some merchandise with you? Some cookies, some candies, some toys for the kids? And tell people, either you can give me something to eat, some money, some food, as usual, begging, or you can buy something from me, or can do both. I'm okay. I said, some people probably will buy something from you. Why don't you give it a try? They love the idea. I thought I'll have about 1,000 or 500 beggars who will join this, brave into this, and I'll test out whether they can really become entrepreneurs. I have no training, nothing. I didn't bother about training. They loved it. They took the money. Usual loan for a beggar was $12, $15, $16. That's about it. They bought the things they want to sell, carry in a bag, go house to house, beg as usual. When they are rejected, would you like to see what I have to sell? Whatever things they can say. And this is how it went. And we ended up with 200,000 beggars in our program. Everybody loved it. Everybody continued with it. Some even started explaining to us how successful they are because they know which house is good for begging, which house is good for selling. They became specialized. I said, look, they didn't go to Harvard Business School. They know market segmentation already. I said, this is an instinctive thing. They figured that out, how to do that. And they pay back the loan. They take the next big loan from $12. They go to $20 for $50. That's it. I said, I didn't select them. These are self-selected people who came, and not a few people, 200,000 people. And within 2 years, about 25% of them stopped begging completely. So others were doing part-time begging, part-time selling. It's okay. I said, now have 2 divisions in their business. One is the begging division. One is the selling division. So some of my colleagues say, why are they going on begging still? I said, well, give them a time. This is their core business. They cannot jump into the other business right away. So this is the story. It's fun to do that. And the amazing thing, now the children of those families are growing up in this whole Grameen Bank second generation. We are there in 40 years now when we started. So the second generation coming up, we gave them education, gave them educational loan, went ahead and did that. And no job. They complain about it. Bangladesh doesn't have a job. What can we do? So I kind of go harsh on them. I said, why are you looking for a job? Job is an obsolete idea. It should have ended in the last century. But somehow people relaxed, it sneaked in. I said, you tell yourself, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator. Behave like a job creator. Think like a job creator. If your school taught you to have a job, you got the wrong education. Look at your mother, because these are the children from Grameen families. Look at your mother. Your mother didn't apply for a job. She took the money from Grameen Bank, $30, $50, that's what she did. And it was a scary experience for her. She invested this money, started a business. And then on, she repays the money and gets a new loan, repays the money, goes to the next step. And she became a seasoned businesswoman. If your illiterate mother can start her entrepreneurial life with $50 loan, what good is your education? You want to go and beg for a job for somebody? Bank is right here. Same bank that you lend your mother money. You'll be lending money to you. Become an entrepreneur like your mother. I said, forget about your education. Go back to your mother. Learn from your mother. and be a real, true human being. Human being is an entrepreneur. Now, thousands and thousands of these young people come up with business ideas. We give investing in them, give them equity participation. Say, it's a joint business with you. You make it successful, return the money to us, and you'll be done. This is how it is done. So the financial system again. Today, if an unemployed person in Berlin goes to a bank, say, I have a bright idea of a business, give me the money so that I can start a business, you know the answer. Probably in some banks, they will push you out of the lobby, say, to get out of the lobby. You're a crazy guy. Because it doesn't make sense to them. I said, why not? It's all they need is money, that's all. Idea is there. So they are running after the job because financial system fails them to do that. So that's why you create unemployment. So I tried to sum this up. I said, I'm looking for 3 zeros. That's what I want to achieve. Zero number 1 is zero poverty. Zero number 2 is zero unemployment. Nobody in the world should be unemployed. It makes no sense. Human being is not born to become unemployed. Human being is not born to work for somebody else. They are entrepreneurs. That's a basic quality we bring from our history. I said, that's what we should be. We should be no unemployment whatsoever. And zero net carbon emission. So once we can establish these 3 zeros, we can transform our society. We can build a new society completely. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yunus. Wonderful, wonderful story. I know you've got time for a couple of questions.
They asked me to stand for a few minutes.
I just wonder if I can ask you one question first of all. I mean, the conventional thinking is that if you lend to the poor, particularly the beggars, they don't have any collateral, so they're not going to pay you back. So how do you make sure that your losses are not very high?
It's a very funny thing, because in my credit experience all over the world, not only Bangladesh and Grameen Bank, and it's now spread out, very low defaulter, very low bad loans. In Bangladesh, repayment rate is over 97% all along these 40 years. Never went below. No collateral, no papers, no lawyers. We even brag ourselves that we are the only bank which is lawyer-free. We don't have a lawyer. And each year we lend out over now $1.5 billion, no papers. They pay back. We run a similar program at the invitation of the United States. We started in 2008, a Grameen America, that's what it's known. We do exactly the same thing we do in Bangladesh. Right now we have 8 branches in New York City, and every other city keep on chasing us. Why don't you come to our city? Our poor people are worse than New York's poor people. So now we have 18 branches in 11 cities. We have over 85,000 borrowers, 100% women. Startup loan is somewhere around $1,000. This year we crossed $500 million loan already. Repayment rate in the last 8 years is over 99%. No papers, nothing. And of the 85,000 borrowers, more than half of the borrowers are undocumented women. They don't even have papers. They have no identity. We lend them the money, no papers. And the repayment has remained over 99.5%. That's it. So this is part of the system. This is what the human beings are all about. We complicated it. We started distrusting them. That's where the papers came. That's where the lawyers came and all that. It's a global phenomenon now. It's not just limited to one country or one group of people.
Okay. Yeah. We'll get a microphone to you, and then we'll take one more at the back there, and then we're...
Rosario Almeida, Rita. I am in the board of an ecological bank in Germany. The legislation towards the bank in Germany and in Europe, and I think in the world around, has been more and more difficult for banks that are working in an ecological way, because they were also depending on interest rates, and interest rates are going down. So we must see how we can earn money so that we can pay the salaries, see that we can fulfill the basis of our core capital needs and things like that from the legislation, and on the other hand, try to make a better result, achieve better results in lending and putting it forward for good projects. So my question to you is, how do you manage in the times like nowadays, where the financial systems have gone mad?
Sure. In Grameen Bank, to go back to Grameen Bank, it's owned by the borrowers. It's not outsider, anybody. It doesn't take money from outside. It's self-financed because as a bank, it takes deposit and lend the money to the borrowers. And they decide the rules of the bank because they sit in the board. The bank makes profit every year, and it goes out as dividend to the people. They adjust their rules and procedures as is needed for themselves. Coming to the extreme, another example, United States, because that gives you extreme. Everybody told us, even if you succeed in getting the money back, it's impossible to cover the cost in the United States. Because salary is so high, all the requirements, not only salary, you have to guarantee this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Enormous cost is coming. We said, we'll take a chance. Our job is to make sure it's sustainable, otherwise it's not microcredit, it becomes charity. So we are always trying to do that. Our first branch, which is in Jackson Heights, New York, came to break-even point in 5 years. We are extremely happy that finally we found a way how to make it sustainable branch-wise, each branch coming to sustainability. And 5 years was a good model for us, and we tried to see what were the features in that branch and encouraged other branches to follow that. Now we are having another type of branches coming who are coming to break even in 4 years. So we're very happy. We follow every rules. The regulations are very tight so far as the financial system is concerned in the United States. They are good in regulation, but they're not good in promotion. So that's the problem. They got stuck. For example, in microcredit program that we run in the US, they cannot take deposits because we are not a bank. So we have to depend on external money to come and do that. If you give us a banking license, it will be done. I said, that banking license that you have doesn't apply to us. We cannot work with it because this law was created for lending money to the rich. So everything is designed that way. So we created Grameen Bank completely differently because it is designed to be a bank for the poor people. So we designed everything in the legal procedure and so on. So you need a new legislation which will allow you to do the things that you need to do. Don't apply the same thing for everything and then find fault with the poor people. My statement many times over and over again, I said, banks tell the poor people, ask the poor people that they are not, whether they are creditworthy, because they are not creditworthy. That's why they cannot lend money. That's their final judgment. The poor people are not creditworthy. I said, is this the right judgment? Shouldn't the people ask you that you shouldn't be judging by saying they are not creditworthy? They should be asking the question whether you are people-worthy. So make yourself people-worthy first, then you can judge other things that have to happen. You're not making yourself people-worthy. That is the failure of the system. Thank you.
Let me just take one last question here. If you can keep it short, please.
Yes, Mr. Yunus, I'm a fintech entrepreneur and investor, currently running the biggest peer-to-peer lending marketplace in the Eurozone. I would be interested in your view how fintech can drive financial inclusion.
How?
How fintech can drive financial inclusion.
Fintech meaning your
financial technology.
Financial technology, okay. Of course, it's very important. Today, technology is important. We adopted the technology right from the beginning in Grameen Bank to computerize the entire system, where even internet never reached the villages yet. There was no telephone at that time. We created a separate company called Grameen Phone, a telephone company. And first thing we did, we wanted to make sure we bring telephone in the hands of the poor women in the villages of the country. So our objective was completely different. We are not looking at the urban market. We said we want to bring telephone in the villages. And we did that. We gave loans to the poor women to buy a handset and start selling the service of the phone so that she started earning money because nobody else has a phone. She has a phone. Everybody has to come to her to make a phone call, and she makes money out of that. She became the telephone lady of the village. A poor woman mastering the technology of telephone. Still, nobody knows how to operate a mobile phone. This is the first time in Bangladesh it's happening. And very soon, we'll have nearly 500,000 telephone ladies all over Bangladesh. So we have a network. We have built a net, and this is when all the idea of phone going to the villages came. It was Bangladesh who led the way to make the phone, because our objective is to bring the phone to the village and give it to the poor women, not to the rich guy in the village, and transform everything. And then India followed, China followed, everybody else followed. Expansion of network in the villages and so on and so forth. Still, Grameenphone is the largest telephone operator in Bangladesh, and is, as a matter of fact, it's the largest company in the Bangladesh, largest taxpayer in the Bangladesh. So you can see how successful it became. So we brought technology at the grassroots level, and then we started using this technology for the banking purposes, and our accounting purposes, our MIS purposes, and so on and so forth. So this is what we have done. So it's very important. Today, other technologies come, money transfers and all those things. So we are trying to adopt to do that so that our cost goes down, efficiency increases, and so on. Absolutely. And many more things to do. Thank you very much.
Good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.